When most people think about the coins in their pocket change, they rarely imagine that something as ordinary as a quarter from 1982 could be worth more than a new car. But that's exactly the case with certain 1982 Washington quarters, coins that for the most part are common and still worth only 25 cents, yet in the right condition or with the right era can sell for hundreds, even thousands, of dollars at auction. Collectors know that the early 1980s were a turning point in U.S. coinage, and the 1982 quarter stands as one of those surprising examples where scarcity in top condition and the presence of unusual errors combine to create real treasure out of everyday change. Let's begin with the background. The Washington quarter design had been in use since 1932, created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1982, the design was still in place, showing the familiar portrait of Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. The composition was copper-nickel clad, with a copper core and an outer layer of nickel, weighing 5.67 grams. No silver quarters had been issued for circulation since 1964, so all 1982 quarters you find in change are clad, unless they are proof issues made for collectors. What makes 1982 unusual in the world of coin collecting is not the design or the metal content, but rather the mintage and the quality of coins that survived. Quarters were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints for circulation, with no mint mark for Philadelphia and a D mint mark for Denver. San Francisco produced proof issues with the S mint mark for collectors. In total, hundreds of millions were made, so on the surface, there's nothing rare about them. But here's the catch: relatively few were saved in pristine condition, and the few that did survive in nearly flawless mint state are now extremely desirable. If you look at a typical 1982 quarter from circulation, you'll see heavy wear. Washington's hair will appear flat, the cheek and jaw will be rubbed down, the eagle's feathers will be mushy, and there will be nicks and scratches from years of use. These coins are almost always just worth face value. Even lightly circulated examples, maybe with just a hint of luster left, might sell for $1 or $2 to someone who wants a nicer album filler, but not much more. Now let's talk about mint state coins, those that never entered circulation. Most uncirculated examples from rolls or mint sets fall into the lower uncirculated grades, what collectors call MS-60 through MS-63. These are nice coins but often have bag marks, spots, or weak strikes. They may bring a few dollars, maybe $20 if the surfaces are clean and the luster is strong. But as you climb the grading scale, values rise dramatically. An MS-65 coin, meaning gem uncirculated with only a few tiny marks and a sharp strike, might be worth $50 to $100. An MS-66 could sell for several hundred. And then there are the elusive MS-67 and MS-68 grades, coins with virtually no flaws, blazing luster, and exceptional eye appeal. At that level, we are talking about coins that have sold for thousands, with the absolute top example from Philadelphia reaching well over $10,000 at auction. That jump in price is because such coins are incredibly rare. Out of the hundreds of millions made, only a handful survived in almost perfect condition. Registry set collectors, people who compete to assemble the finest possible set of quarters, drive demand for those top pop coins. They want the best, and they'll pay extraordinary prices to own them. That's why a common coin becomes a treasure when the grade is high enough. But high grades aren't the only factor that makes the 1982 quarter valuable. Errors and varieties play an equally important role. Some of the most exciting finds in coin collecting are mint mistakes, and the 1982 quarter has its share. One of the more talked about errors are double die varieties, where parts of the design appear doubled because of a misalignment in the die creation process. If you see doubling on the date, on the letters of Liberty, or on In God We Trust, you could have a doubled die. Strong examples can bring hundreds of dollars, especially if they are preserved in high grade. Another class of errors involves the planchet itself. Remember that quarters are made with a copper core and an outer nickel layer. Sometimes, that outer clad layer fails to bond correctly, leaving one side of the coin missing its nickel surface. Instead, you'll see a reddish copper face, very different from the silvery gray of a normal quarter. These missing clad layer errors are popular with collectors and can sell for $50 or more, sometimes well into the hundreds depending on how dramatic the error is. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the blank. The result is a quarter where part of Washington's portrait is cut off and part of the blank is exposed. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin tends to be, with values ranging from a few tens of dollars up to several hundred. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally shapes the rim, produce quarters that look stretched out or slightly oversized, and those can also bring premiums. Strike-through errors, where foreign material gets between the die and the blank, can leave dramatic marks that collectors love. Proof coins from San Francisco deserve mention too. In 1982, these were sold directly to collectors in proof sets, and they feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Most proof coins are common, worth just a few dollars if they're clad. But the very best, those graded PR69 or PR70 with deep cameo contrast, can command higher premiums. They're not in the thousands like top-end business strikes, but they do have strong collector demand. So what does all this mean for you if you have a 1982 quarter? First, don't assume it's worthless just because it's modern and clad. Examine it carefully. Start with the mint mark. If there's an S, it could be a proof. If there's a D, it came from Denver, and no mint mark means Philadelphia. Look closely at the surfaces. If it's shiny with no wear, you may have an uncirculated coin. Compare the detail in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Strong detail means a stronger strike, which collectors value. Check for odd colors or missing layers, check for doubling, and look for off-center strikes or unusual rims. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe is invaluable for spotting these things. Next, consider the condition. Coins that look perfect to the naked eye often reveal scratches or marks under magnification, and that affects value. If you think your coin is truly exceptional, it may be worth sending to a grading service. Professional certification not only confirms the grade but also authenticates errors and varieties. Certified coins almost always bring higher prices than raw coins because buyers have confidence in what they're getting. Market demand is another factor. In recent years, registry set collecting has pushed values for top-grade clad quarters higher and higher. Even coins once considered common are now prized in grades above MS-66. The 1982 quarter is part of this trend, and its auction history proves that collectors are willing to pay big money for the best of the best. So the next time you hold a 1982 Washington quarter, remember, while most are just ordinary coins, a small number are hidden treasures. With sharp eyes, patience, and maybe a little bit of luck, you might just discover that one of the quarters in your pocket is worth far more than 25 cents.